Two astronauts are no doubt thanking their lucky stars right now after successfully escaping the failed launch of their Soyuz spacecraft on Thursday. The booster rocket malfunctioned just minutes into their flight, causing them to abort and return to Earth. After a dramatic rescue and medical tests, there was relief from friends and family as they were welcomed back to Baikonur. Yeah, you can just imagine how those hugs felt. Well, the crew arrived a little bit earlier today at the Star City Training Center located just outside Moscow. RT's Maria Finoshna is there for us.
Star City, or Zvezny Gorodok in Russian, is where Russian cosmonaut Alexei Ovchinin has been training for months and months, preparing for his second mission to the International Space Station. Now he and another crew member, American astronaut Nick Hague, are right now here after their lucky escape, as they call it, the emergency landing in Kazakhstan. They will be checked here for the next 48 hours. We hear from the doctors that both spacemen feel very well right now, both physically and psychologically, but the protocol requires that their health conditions are monitored for the next 2 days. We know that some family members are also here. Of course, a very warm welcome, but the question many now want to know the answer to is exactly what happened on Thursday. A criminal case was launched, and a special high-profile state commission was also formed to shed the light on the cause of the incident on Thursday. We hear that the heads of NASA and European Space Agency already offered their assistance, help in the investigation. We expect the first results by October 20th, but already now we hear that separation system malfunction might be cause of collision. Again, this is just preliminary suggestion. The head of manned programs in Russian Space Agency Roscosmos, Mr. Krikolov, provided more on what is happening right now.
The Commission has started its work. The first rocket fragments have already been found, and the results are expected by the 20th of October. Our systems will help analyze the reasons for what happened.
Until the exact cause of the incident is found, all the space flights must be suspended. But a very good news for both Alexei Ovchinin and Nick Hague. We hear from the head of Russian Roscosmos that they will fly to the International Space Station next spring already.
We are back in Star City. These guys will fly. We plan for their flight to be in the spring of next year.
Just to remind you what happened, everything appeared to be going very well with the launch, but less than 2 minutes into the flight, a problem was reported with the booster rocket between the first and second stages separating, and the emergency escape system immediately reacted to this automatically by separating the crew capsule, and Alexei Ovchinin and Nick Hague safely landed inside this capsule several hundred kilometers from the launch site in Kazakhstan. So it is very important right now to be careful in investigating and in answering the question exactly what caused this incident.
Well, the crew on board the International Space Station, where the Soyuz was hoping to get to, had more than a bird's eye view of what happened and captured the moment on camera. Just take a look at this. The breathtaking images were taken by the current space station commander, Alexander Gerst. He and his team were readying to, of course, welcome their colleagues on board, but could then only watch helplessly as they saw the astronauts' incredible escape as they fell back to Earth. Even 400 kilometers up, Commander Gerst's relief was palpable.
I'm glad that our friends are fine, thanks to more than 1,000 rescue workers. This day has again shown how great the Soyuz is. Despite a false start, the crew was safely brought back to Earth. Space travel is tough, but we must go on for the benefit of humanity.
Well, when you've got more than £500,000 pounds of burning rocket fuel behind you and a booster that's gone faulty, you need to get away and fast. For Thursday's Soyuz crew, that meant relying on an escape system first developed in the 1960s.
It's a very dangerous situation, and it's impressive about the design of how they built this, the escape system, that it works so very well. But you're in a very volatile situation with lots of rocket propellant around you, going very, very fast, very, very high. So things could have gone much, much worse, and it's just great that the escape system works so well.
Well, every moment of the brief, tense flight was being closely watched. Murat Gazdeev takes us through what occurred.
Baikonur Cosmodrome, 1440 local time. Liftoff in 5, 4.
3, 2, 1.
Engine turbo pump at flight speed. Engines at maximum thrust. Liftoff.
The launch is always the most nerve-wracking part. The energy and stress involved are colossal, as are the risks and dangers. Not this time.
Everything proceeding as intended for today's flight.
Near the 2-minute mark, the first stage boosters begin to separate. Something goes wrong. There's no time to wait or think. At 121 seconds, emergency protocols engage automatically. The mission is compromised. There are milliseconds to get the crew away. The families of the crew, the heads of Roscosmos and NASA, watch on as the ejection system jettisons the crew module away from the rocket boosters before the tons of high explosive fuel detonate.
And we have the escape tower for the Soyuz now jettisoned.
The ballistic trajectory they're on is rougher than anticipated. The crew is shaken and battered, but stay conscious, with room for a little humor.
2 минуты 45 секунд. Авария носителя. Принято. Быстро мы прилетели. И закрытие ПД-1.
3 minutes in, emergency systems function as intended. They begin their descent back to Earth. Within minutes, a search and rescue operation is underway. Helicopters are soon airborne, powering towards the landing site, while Alexei and Nick's families pray and hope.
I watched the launch on TV, and then I got the news from my neighbors. You can understand my feelings at the time. It was hard.
There's no telling what medical condition the crew are in. What we might call luck, others would call professionalism. A crew who trained for years for this. The technicians who engineered the safety overrides. The rescuers and medics who arrived in record time. Roscosmos, NASA teams. It wasn't a miracle, but it was the next best thing.
When it comes to space, nothing is left to chance. There's contingencies for everything. Fail-safes, protocols and provisions. There's checks, double checks, triple checks, and Soyuz's track record, the best in the world, proves it's as safe as can be. But that only gets you so far. Space is, after all, the final frontier.
Yeah, plenty of people fascinated by what unfolded, including former astronauts that we spoke to. They said that crews are always well prepared for such emergencies and praised Ovchinin and Haig for their quick thinking actions.
Flew to the space station aboard a Soyuz rocket myself, came back in a Soyuz capsule, on my fourth mission, and so, kind of brought me back to what it's like being in that vehicle and imagining going through this kind of an emergency abort. But as you heard from the transmissions, the crew was very calm, very professional, and they did everything exactly right. And so, first and foremost, of course, we're all very pleased that the crew is safe and healthy. They were able to walk away from the landing site. And now it's just a matter of the investigation to determine what happened, what corrective action needs to be taken, and then recertifying the vehicles for launch.
This was a situation that the crew were very well prepared for. Often, it's almost impossible to believe that everything will go well. However, most of the time, everything does go very well. But we are prepared mentally for things not going the way they're intended. In this sort of event, when there's an anomaly during the launch, the crew react as they would in a simulator. They've practiced their reactions multiple times in the simulator, so they don't ask, what's happening, what do we do?